I want to come on to your magic, because that's obviously a key part of you. This interview is about you, Mark. And I also want to talk about your movement towards or into Druidism, if I can call it that. But just one final question on religion. How do you see the future of religion? Where is religion going to be, let's say, in 50 or 100 years' time, do you think?
Oh, boy. I don't know. I think what a lot of people do recognise is that institutional religion doesn't seem to be articulating where people are right now. And so we're noticing all over the world and closer to home, time and time again. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this. You come across people who've been squeezed out of organised religion and yet can't give up the spiritual search. And in actual fact, by being squeezed out, have almost been given a gift because they've found like-minded people.
Was that like you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You know, I've been squeezed out of institutional religion, but I haven't waved goodbye to it because it's still with me. Jesus as a personality is still with me. The whole notion of the beauty of the sacraments is still with me. I still see myself as a Christian, though at the edge and progressive, but still a Christian. So
in 50 years' time, how's it going to look?
I think we're going to find less religiosity. I think we're going to find more and more. Sorry to say, but splinter groups, because I think people are going to find more and more that they cannot stay within. I mean, I was just listening on the way down here to Matthew Fox, who's a remarkable spiritual teacher, squeezed out of the Catholic Church, the Order of Dominicans. I think now he's Episcopalian, but whatever, he sees himself as post-denominational priest. And you know, he was very clearly saying that if any institution is not allowing you to grow up, and certainly isn't grown up themselves, then just you have to make a decision, and the decision is you need to get out. So, you know, people are doing that more and more, and people are finding spiritual truths in places that they never knew existed. And, you know, what I'd hate to see is all of that energy somehow being formalized into some new sort of straitjacket religion. But then again, on the other hand, I do get people, a large number of people over the internet and physically at my doorstep, saying to me, look, we've read some of the stuff that you've been talking about, we feel the same, where do we go? Because there doesn't seem to be places, for, especially ex-Christians or people who are still Christian but can't really find a happy place in any institutional church. They don't know where to go. I'm certainly not about to set up a religion, but I'm about to be offering myself as maybe a friend for people local to me who want to come and meet together and discuss things, and certainly with no ulterior motives, not about joining a religion, but a happy and open place where people can come and continue the dialogue, but without the feeling of having to belong to a very structured religious religion. Again, not a very good answer. Who can say? But I don't think formal religion is, by and large, it's not making people free at the moment, and they're freeing themselves from it, really.
Talking of freedom, let's talk about your magic. I'm sensing, correct me if I'm wrong, that your magic is your love, and it's part of your own, or has been part of your own search for inner truth, you might call it.
Yeah.
What's your comment on that? And tell us a little bit about how, you know, an ordained priest can be a magician at the same time. I know you have to some extent, but
okay, yeah. First of all,
you know,
right.
Where is the truth in this?
Okay. First of all, on the side of my car, I have to now do this because, you know, I do need to advertise what I do. And on the side of my car, it says Mark Townsend, magician, priest, author, and in that order. I used to put priest, magician, order, priest, magician, author. But it actually happened that way around. I was a magician first, I was a magician at the age of 9. And by that, I mean my uncle, he first showed me a really cool card trick, which how to vanish a card into thin air when I was 9 years old. And I never gave up the bug. That's where I caught the bug. And ever since then, I've been exploring magic in the sense of creating illusions, but also exploring magic as in being very fascinated by books on the supernatural, the unexplained, Arthur C. Clarke, all that sort of stuff, right from a young age. So by the age of 16, I was already quite good at creating magic and also very interested in discovering magic. Then I had a major, life-changing experience which brought me into the church, and in those days a very heavy Pentecostal sort of fundamentalist church, which again I don't regret. I still have lots of friends who go to that church. It didn't work for me. After a while I found myself squeezed out because it didn't work for my kind of critical, analytical mind, but it works for a lot of people, so I've got nothing against it. So and during those Pentecostal years, the magic had to stop for obvious reasons. It's not the sort of thing you can really talk about as a Pentecostal. Even though it's in many ways a magical religion, really, because there's lots of signs and wonders and speaking in tongues and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, that's another story. The priest stuff came after that. I decided to escape the UK for a while. I gave up my job, and I was already thinking about becoming a pastor in the Pentecostal church, but something didn't feel right, so I needed to get away. And what I did was I went to Israel. I thought, well, perfect place to go to the place where it all began. And that's when something quite powerful happened to me. I discovered the mystical traditions. Now, I was a Pentecostal, so I used to go to a plain little church, which certainly had no emphasis on church buildings. It was all about people, rightly so, the church was people, and very Bible-orientated, and quite sceptical about anything that it saw as religion. In other words, Catholic traditions, Anglican traditions, those sort of things. Went over to Israel, and I thought that the places like the Sea of Galilee and the hills of Galilee would be mind-blowing encounters of Jesus, because that's where those are the hills he trod. He taught from the side of the Lake of Galilee. And they were beautiful places, but the surprise to me was that the most powerful experiences I had in the Holy Land were in the Orthodox and Catholic shrines and holy places, because they were magic. They were brimming with magic. It took me 3 attempts to get there, because there were all sorts of political problems. But I went to the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, which, may not be, probably isn't the place where Jesus was born, but for many centuries it's been seen as the place where he was born. And you go through this little door, an Orthodox church, you go down some steps into a grotto, and there's a X marks the spot to the place where, big gold star where Jesus was born. But it was profound. People were from every culture. It was packed full of people, different languages, some of them praying in tongues, amazingly, some of them praying in Oriental languages, and coming in, kissing, and I think there was holy water in the centre, I think so, if I remember correctly, splashing water on themselves, lighting candles, swinging incense. I just stood there as if I was in heaven, totally amazed by the power of the symbolism. And that was my first taste of the magic of religious symbolism. So, of course, coming back to the UK and to the Pentecostal church, I found I couldn't really fit back into it, which began my journey into a more sacramental, mystical experience. Now, I'm going to get back to your question about magic and religion. I finally got ordained after a lot of struggle and academic training and all sorts of other stuff. During my training for being a priest, which was very intense and very profound as well, and very stretching, and a really rewarding experience, but I had this horrible fear that I might be turned into some kind of Derek Nimoy stereotypical vicar, and start talking churchy all the time. And So I thought, I need a hobby. And because the college I was at was a very liberal college, I thought, why not go back to my old magic club in Hereford and become a magician again as a hobby. So I did. And in a couple of years, I was really quite proficient at it. So when I got ordained, I've said this earlier on, I very quickly discovered that my hobby could be used as part of my way of life as a priest, because it had a unique power to, I don't think of myself as being very good with words. I'm certainly I was intensely shy then, and I am a shy person now. So to take the focus away from me and what I'm saying to my hands and what they're doing was a real gift. And before long, I ended up on songs of praise and stuff as the conjuring curate. It was really funny because people thought it was quite unique, you know, this vicar who did magic. In many ways, it was a little cheesy and quite gimmicky, and in those days, I used illusions that were perhaps the sort of thing I wouldn't use now.
Right.
But over time, it's become very powerful. And I don't see any conflict at all in using very powerful, even psychological illusions, mind reading, stuff like that. Don't have any problem with doing that and still being a priest. Not at all.
Fantastic. Fantastic.